Good morning, Sean. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
So, we have dedicated the last few weeks talking about employee training and something that we do as part of our services. And why is it so important that we're doing this employee training?
So your employees are your first and the last line of defense. When they're get click happy and want to click on anything under the sun, even the best systems in the world aren't going to be able to stop everything. So you want to make sure your employees aren't clicking on things that really they don't need to be clicking on. Okay? So we don't need the latest newsworthy thing being clicked on at work. You want your staff doing their job. You don't want the latest social media click to be what they're clicking on. You want them doing their job. And so keeping your employees safe is very important to you as a business owner or as a CEO, president, etc. Because if your employees can stay on task, they're more efficient, right? But the other part of that is that your systems actually function and you don't have an entire company down because somebody clicked on something going, ooh, sounds cool. Let me click on this advertisement or this link because drive-by advertisements are a real thing in Google and Bing and other search engines. So we want to make sure that we train employees to identify what bad links could look like, okay, what things are a little bit fishy. We've talked about email campaigns and how spam can have malware and files can have malware and attachments can have all this stuff. We've talked about a whole bunch of different ways that your employees can actually do a lot of damage. And most hacks come from an employee doing something silly that seemed mundane at the time that actually had a major impact. And a great way is, we'll talk about rubber duckies next session, but rubber duckies are a great way of getting access to a system in a way that seems very mundane and could be an honest thing that your staff is doing to try to help somebody out. But in fact, it actually ends up being the disaster that you didn't want.
And so, this is a service that we provide to our clients because the threat landscape is ever changing and moving and evolving. How often is this something that we should be doing with employees, or how often should we be training? What do we recommend, or what is a good gauge for people?
We recommend that every time that you have an employee come on staff, you have them go through some type of minor training program, but then at least twice a year, have your entire staff go through a training scenario that will inform them of these different threats and help them to be your first and last line of defense so that you can avoid having the company get shut down. And when you're looking at employees and trying to explain to them why it's important, tell them, hey, if we get shut down because somebody does something silly, it could be everybody's job. Companies can go out of business because of employees doing silly things that shut a computer down or shut down an entire system, and they lose data because of this. And it may not be today that it happens, but it could be 6 months or a year down the line where, because of the effect of the reputation of your company based on the breach, your company ends up going out of business. So your employees, having them trained is absolutely essential, at least when they're coming on board, but recommended to be at least twice a year thereafter so that you can make sure that A, they all keep their jobs, but B, company stays running and flowing and working the way that it needs to be.
Yeah, I think it's really important. So, thanks for that information, Sean.